If you really look at it, Kyler responded and he said, "This isn't true. You on some weird bleep, Patrick Peterson. You got my number. If you really felt like this is a big bro or mentor, you're supposed to call me and tell me, not drag me so your podcast can grow." Again, bring us on screen. Let me paint the picture. Let me give us context. Context. Kyler Murray, throughout the duration of the season, he has been calling people out. He cussed his coach out on camera. He called his teammates out after the Raiders game. He said the offensive scheme was screwed after this last game. Yeah. Patrick Peterson, his former teammate for 2 or 3 years, he said Kyler only cares about Kyler. That is context. Now, here's the truth. Pete twice had to get him. Patrick Peterson is not in the wrong, and Kyler looks even worse now. Why? Because Patrick Peterson is a top 5 pick and has outperformed his draft status. How can you outperform being a top 5 pick? Maybe by being an 8-time Pro Bowler. Maybe by being a 2-time All-Pro. Maybe by walking into the NFL and instantly being a Pro Bowler as a return man and then going to being a 7-time Pro Bowler straight after the first Pro Bowler as a cornerback. Maybe that's how. Meanwhile, Kyler Murray, losing record as a starter, losing record this season, went to the playoffs and got whooped. Got smoked.
Smoking on that pack.
Look, smoking on something. Got smoked.
Kyler Murray pack.
So Kyler Murray is getting called out. I have no problem with Patrick Peterson being honest. Patrick Peterson knows best. And here's my thing, Kyler. Don't sit here and start boo-hooing now. Please, I hate when people do that. Joy, we had a conversation. I will keep the person nameless. But somebody tried to try me one time on social media.
Try my boy?
Tried your boy.
Should have called me. You know I'm good with these
Then
bars.
I'm going to check him, and he's going to be like, "Oh, you're so mean. Look at how aggressive you're getting." No. Come for me, I'm going to come for you. Kyler, you've come at everybody and their mama all season. You came at your wide receivers after the Raiders game. You cussed out your coach on national television. You cussed out the schemes of your coach to reporters on national television. Now, future Hall of Famer is going to check you, and now you want to say, "Oh, you weird, bro. You could have called me privately. You could have texted me." You don't think you could have called Cliff Kingsbury privately? You don't think you could have called your wide receivers privately? You don't think you could have talked to Cliff on the sideline privately? But you want to cuss everybody out publicly? Get this public criticism. Kyler looks terrible, but I don't know if he looks terrible or if his attitude just is terrible. I got more to say, but Shady, I want to hear what you got to say. How's Kyler look after Patrick Peterson?
We've been on the show for 3 months.
Yes, sir.
I swear to God, man. Kyler Murray and Dave Hellman got a lot in common.
They're right?
Because all he cares about is himself and them soft Cowboys. I'm sorry. What was the question? I had to say that. Kyler, Dave, they like, okay.
Does Kyler look worse after the criticism?
He looks worse. First of all, if you know Patrick Peterson, he's a cool dude. He's a good guy, right? And if you really look at it, he said Kyler Murray don't care about nobody but Kyler Murray. That's just a fact. That ain't really that bad.
Not bad at all.
Right? I had some heated arguments where I might say things about teammates, and I'm going to say it. Pat ain't even say much. But what he's saying is what we all see. I see Kyler Murray. I see the little man back there. He drops back, throws a bad pass. Body language. Like, it's your fault. That's part of it, though. So that's like, I call that dry snitching. Like, instead of just saying, "Hey, man, get back here. We'll get to play again." It's like, oh, when it's your fault, it's a bad pass. Let's go back to the contract.
Please do.
If I'm going to get somebody $230 million to be my quarterback, to be on my team, right? I got to put in a contract, but you have to watch a certain amount of tape, a film study. I'm the quarterback. That's like the coach on the team. So all these things already show you who this guy really is. He cares about himself. I've played with players. I've had homeboys that play with him. They say the same thing. The difference is Patrick Peterson, even when they talk to him about on his podcast, he didn't come out and just blast him. They asked him a question about him. He said, well, he just cares about himself.
Yep. And
he shows it. Little man got to stop. He being soft, man. Come on.
I don't disagree.
This is interesting because, I'm stuck somewhere in the middle. Like, on one hand, I do think it's a little weird to be worried about another team's quarterback. Like, Patrick Peterson doesn't play there anymore. And on top of that, like, he kind of walked it back today. He said, "I don't have any beef with Kyler Murray." But, like, I got a good memory. I remember a month ago when the Vikings beat the Cardinals, and I mean that's
what he does.
That is a shot. So I don't know. Patrick Peterson might not have any beef with Kyler Murray, but like
you don't like him.
He wants people to know that he feels a certain type of way because the celebration, which anybody who follows the NFL can pick out, and then directly saying it on a podcast. So there's something there. But then having said that, Patrick Peterson's probably going to the Hall of Fame.
Definitely is.
He's been in the league for a decade or more.
12 years.
And everything I know about him as a guy, like he's a high character off the field, like an ambassador for your locker room, exactly that type of dude that you want, you know, like the type of guy that would be an NFLPA representative. So for him to say it, I do think it's weird that he's taking a shot across the country at his old teammate, but I'm also like...
But is it a shot if it's true?
Right, no.
I mean, I get your point. I mean, it's still a shot, though. It's unwarranted. Like, it's not a division rival. You're done playing them for the year. They're not going to the playoffs. So, like, it feels a little bit unnecessary, but at the same time, I'm like, I trust Patrick Peterson and who he's all about, that if he says it, he's probably right.
Now, hold up, real quick. You never played with no players, right? It was cool, but you hate the way he worked out.
No doubt.
You hate the way his work ethic. He's a bad teammate, but we was cool.
No doubt.
You felt like that about certain players?
We cool, aren't we?
No, that's different. But you see what I'm saying?
1,000%.
I probably wouldn't like go out and say it, but if they ask me a question, I'm
You
like,
keep it real.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about nobody. He don't care about winning. He care about his paycheck.
Correct. Joy, weigh in.
I don't have any problem with Patrick Peterson saying it, and I don't have any problem with Kyler Murray defending himself. If this is how he feels, he should defend himself. And what else is he supposed to say? I'm not going to text you in private if you disrespected me in public. And whether he's saying it is true or not, it is a call-out. Like, you can admit it's a call-out at best. If you don't think it's disrespectful because you agree with it, he's still calling him out. He's calling him selfish, which you can be good selfish and you can be bad selfish. You can be good selfish in that you dedicate your whole self to being great at something. Or you can be bad selfish in that you just dedicate yourself to yourself. And you don't care about other people. He cleared it up. I do think that what Patrick Peterson said is more important than his original statement. So I'm going to read it entirely. He said, I don't have beef with Kyler Murray. What I meant by my comment was when you're a franchise quarterback, you have to carry yourself a certain way. So if you're having bad body language, pouting, moping on the sideline, what type of energy do you think that feeds off to your teammates? That's what I meant about Kyler. He cares about himself because he's not putting his team first. That is an expansion on his statement. When you say he only cares about himself, that's a very direct shot. This means more to me, the entirety of what Patrick Peterson said, which is he's saying all the things that we are seeing, which is he reacts like that to bad plays. He yells at his coach.
He moping around.
He calls out. He says things in the press conference to call out the
wide receivers. They gotta be on my speed.
I gotta be on my time. It's all about me. This is what I think. It's your problem. And we give Aaron Rodgers all kinds of help for this, and he's a back-to-back league MVP and won a Super Bowl and 2 other MVPs. Like, he's going directly into the Hall of Fame. They might cut some years off when you can get in when Aaron Rodgers retires. So we have to keep that same energy. But all that being said, I don't feel bad for the Cardinals. You knew who he was.
Correct.
You knew what he played like. You knew what he played like in high school. You knew what he played like in college. You knew what his personality was. You knew what his work ethic was. You knew what his attitude was before you paid him. This is your fault. If you didn't like it, don't enable people. Don't pay them. They didn't have to pay Kyler Murray. It wasn't the end of the franchise that they didn't give him this contract. Now he has his money. What motivation do you expect him to grow in this situation? He's already the guy.
I encourage people to think deeply about this Kyler situation in regards to how the Russ situation once he left Seattle and was in Seattle unfolded. Let me bring this to your attention. When Russ was in Seattle, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, they couldn't get their deals. They had to leave. People think certain things about them. Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson. There have been some guys in Arizona, some Hall of Fame guys in Arizona that play defense that are no longer in Arizona. Patrick Peterson got 3 picks this year. Chandler Jones had double-digit sacks just last year, if I am not mistaken, that are no longer in Arizona, but Kyler is. We've seen it happen before. I'm not surprised seeing it happen again.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.